I've stumbled upon a truth that makes the vast majority of people fall into a heavy, uncomfortable silence. Think about the biggest regrets of your life, the chances you missed, the dreams you buried in the dirt. Isn't it true that every single one of them happened because you chose the path that felt safe? I am Conrad, and I'm here to tell you that you've been choosing the warmth of the blanket over the cold clarity of the unknown. You listened to that small, frightened voice inside you that whispered, "Stay where it's comfortable." The problem is, we are all born carrying a script written by ancestors who are simply trying not to be eaten by predators. Their hunger for high-calorie food kept them alive. Their fear of danger kept them in the shadows. But today, that same script has become a cage. In a world of abundance, your natural hunger for ease is what's starving your potential. Your instinct to avoid pain is exactly what's keeping you from the only thing that can save you: growth. All the high-level rewards in this age, wealth, wisdom, and deep connections, are buried under the very things your body hates: delayed gratification and facing the fire. You want a life that only a few ever touch, yet you are following the same biological map that leads the crowd to a slow, predictable death. Does that sound possible to you? Turning your life around isn't about learning a new trick. It is a war against your own flesh. It is a revolution against the very instincts that make you feel safe. To get what you've never had, you must do the one thing that feels the most dangerous. You must learn to betray your own nature. Today, I will show you how to stop being the victim of your own biology and start becoming the master of your fate. The first law of betrayal is the hardest, because it feels like starvation. Most of you aren't actually hungry for success. You are just addicted to the sensation of being fed. Every time you reach for your phone, the second you feel a flicker of boredom, or reach for a sugar-filled snack when the world gets heavy, you aren't treating yourself. You are feeding a parasite that lives on your potential. I remember being a slave to this parasite. I'd tell myself I needed a 5-minute break, only to wake up 3 hours later from a digital coma, feeling more exhausted than when I started. This is the biological bribe in action. Your ancient brain hates waiting. To a caveman, later was a gamble that rarely paid off. Your flesh screams for now because it thinks every moment might be its last. But in a world of lethal abundance, that now is a trap. When you satisfy every small urge, you are letting a primitive reflex hold your entire future for ransom. You are trading your empire for a handful of cheap, digital sugar. We live in a world designed to keep you sedated. Every app, every convenience, every instant solution is a biological pacifier. The crowd is busy chasing the next buzz, the next notification, the next hit of validation. They are like cattle being led to a very comfortable slaughter, blissfully unaware that their capacity for deep effort is dying. I had to learn to look at my own cravings, that physical itch to check my messages, and recognize it as the voice of the loser inside me. That urge is the beast of now. It is a loud, crying infant that wants to be pacified. If you feed it, it grows. If you starve it, you finally regain control of the wheel. To win, you must pay a tax that the majority refuses to even acknowledge. In this age, that tax is called boredom and unmet desire. The next time you feel that desperate urge to distract yourself, don't run. Sit there. Feel the irritation. Feel the literal burning in your chest as your body demands its fix. That burning is the sound of your old, weak nature dying. Betraying your nature means realizing that the hunger won't kill you, but satisfying it prematurely will. You must become a master of the void. You must learn to be the only person in the room who is comfortable with being unfed. Because the man who can control his hunger is the only man who can eventually own the feast. Law 2 is a direct assault on your most basic biological desire, the desire for safety. Look around you. We live in the most temperature-controlled, cushioned, and sanitized era in human history. You move from a climate-controlled house to a climate-controlled car to a climate-controlled office. You have been raised in a world that views any form of physical or mental discomfort as a problem to be solved. But here is the truth that your body refuses to acknowledge. A life without cold is a life without an edge. When you never shiver, your internal furnace dies. When you never feel the bite of the wind, your skin grows thin and fragile. Most of you are living in a state of permanent warmth, and it has turned you into a domestic animal, safe, fed, but utterly incapable of surviving the wild. You haven't found peace. You've just lowered your threshold for pain so much that a minor inconvenience feels like a life-threatening storm. I had to realize that my greatest enemy wasn't failure. It was the blanket I had wrapped around my soul. Your nerves are designed to be tested. Your muscles only grow when they are torn. Your mind only sharpens when it is forced to solve a problem that it actually fears. Think about the people you admire. They didn't become great by being comfortable. They became great because they realized that the cold, the rejection, the isolation, the grueling hours of unrewarded effort is the only environment where a master can be forged. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation, every time you choose the easy task over the one that makes your heart race with anxiety, you are retreating back to the cave. You are choosing the safety of the dark over the brilliance of the fire. To betray your nature is to stop viewing pain as a signal to run. You must start viewing it as the energy tax required for entry into the 1%. You must learn to seek the cold before it finds you as a catastrophe. Turning your life around means intentionally putting yourself in positions where you are the least comfortable person in the room. It means doing the work when you are exhausted. It means speaking up when your throat is tight with fear. The crowd is busy building thicker walls to keep the discomfort out. But you? You must be the one who walks out of the gate, into the storm, until the cold no longer makes you shiver. When you stop fearing the bite of life, you gain a level of freedom that the majority will never understand. Because a man who is comfortable in the cold can go anywhere. A man who needs the blanket is a prisoner to the room that provides it. If you want the life only a few have, you must be willing to endure the cold that everyone else is running from. You have a voice in your head that is the most expensive lawyer in the world. The problem is, he's not working for your success. He's working for your ego. Every time you fail, every time you miss a deadline, every time you choose the sofa over the gym, this lawyer stands up in the courtroom of your mind and delivers a brilliant defense. He tells you that you were just too tired. He explains that the world was unfair. He convinces you that it wasn't a lack of discipline, but a necessary mental health break. Most of you are living a life of quiet desperation because you have become the best storyteller in the world. You have successfully convinced yourself that your current stagnation is a strategic pause. It's not. It's a lie. And that lie is the wall between the person you are and the person you were meant to be. The 1% don't have a defense team. They have an auditor. I had to learn to look at my own reflection and stop listening to the excuses that made me feel better. To betray your nature is to become the prosecutor of your own life. It means looking at your bank account, your health, and your relationships and refusing to accept a single but or because. Your biology wants to protect your self-image at all costs. It wants to keep you feeling right, even when you are losing. But being right doesn't pay the bills. Being right doesn't build an empire. If you want to win, you have to be willing to be wrong. Painfully, embarrassingly wrong. You have to take that lawyer in your head, the one that's been protecting your comfort for years, and you have to silence him forever. You must trade the comfort of an excuse for the cold, hard weight of responsibility. Turning your life around requires a radical audit of your own bullshit. It means standing in front of the mirror until the lies burn away. When you look at your failure, don't look for a reason. Look for the choice you made that led there. The crowd loves to blame the wind, the rain, and the tide. But the master knows that the wind blows on everyone. The only difference is how you set the sail. From this moment on, you are no longer allowed to be a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your results. If you don't like the building, stop blaming the tools and start firing the lawyer who told you the foundation was good enough. Excellence begins the second you run out of excuses. Law 4 is the one that will make you the most enemies. It is the law of pruning. We are biological creatures designed to live in tribes. Thousands of years ago, being cast out of the tribe didn't just mean being lonely. It meant death. If you weren't part of the group, you were a meal for a predator. This is why your heart races when you feel left out, and why you feel a desperate, sickening need to be liked. But look at the tribe you are so afraid to leave. Are they winners? Are they masters of their own fate? Or are they just a group of people who have agreed to stay average so they can feel safe together? The modern tribe is no longer a survival unit. It is a mediocrity pact. Every time you say yes to a dinner you don't want to attend, or hide your ambitions so you don't make your friends feel insecure, you are paying a popularity tax. You are trading your potential for the warmth of a crowd that is heading nowhere. I had to learn that you cannot climb a mountain while holding hands with people who are afraid of heights. To betray your nature is to realize that your need for belonging is a chain. The 1% are not the most popular people in the room. They are often the most isolated. They have realized that deep, original thought only happens in the silence of the wild. Think about the wolf. He doesn't ask the sheep for permission to hunt. He doesn't check the consensus of the flock before he moves. He understands that excellence is a lonely pursuit. When you begin to prune your social circle, when you stop answering the calls of those who only want to talk about the past, you will feel a cold, sharp silence. That silence isn't a sign that you are losing. It's a sign that you are finally moving too fast for the crowd to keep up. You aren't lonely. You are finally unencumbered. Turning your life around requires you to be ruthless with your time and your energy. You must treat your inner circle like a high-security vault. If someone isn't adding fuel to your fire, they are pouring water on it. There is no middle ground. The crowd will call you arrogant. They will call you changed. They will try to guilt you back into the cave of commonality. Let them. Your job isn't to be understood by the masses. Your job is to be the master of your own results. Stop trying to fit into a circle that was never meant to contain your greatness. Build your own empire in the wild, and let the smoke from your fire be the only thing they see from a distance. The road to the top is narrow for a reason. It wasn't built for a crowd. Law 5 is the most uncomfortable truth of all, because it is the only one your brain is biologically programmed to ignore. Your survival instinct builds a wall of denial around the reality of the end. To your primitive mind, death is a predator too terrifying to face, so it whispers the most lethal lie in human history. You have time. Because of this lie, you treat your days like an infinite currency. You spend weeks on distractions and years on people who don't matter, acting as if you've signed a contract for eternity. But look at your hands. Look at the mirror. Every sunset is a page being torn out of the only book you will ever get to write. You aren't living a life, you are spending it. And most of you are spending it on things that will make you weep with regret when the final audit comes. I had to stop listening to the lie and start facing the math. If you are 30 years old, and you are lucky, you might have 40 good years of energy left. That's 480 months, 2,000 weeks. It sounds like a lot until you realize how many of those weeks you've already burned in the warmth of the blanket. To betray your nature is to tear down that wall of denial and look at the end of the road every single morning. The elite don't view death as a tragedy. They use it as a tool. They use the cold breath of the finish line to freeze out their excuses. When you realize that your time is a non-renewable resource, procrastination stops being a bad habit and starts looking like a slow-motion suicide. You don't need more motivation. You need to realize that the clock is ticking, and it doesn't care about your feelings, your fears, or your perfect moment. When you live under the gaze of death, the noise of the world disappears. The fear of being judged, the need to be liked, the urge to stay comfortable, all of it burns away in the face of the inevitable. I use this reality every day. When I feel that old, weak nature trying to pull me back into the cave, I ask myself one question. If this were the last week of the only life I have, would I be doing this? If the answer is no for too many days in a row, I know I'm losing. Most of you are waiting for a near-death experience to change your life, but you are already in a near-death experience. It's called aging. It's happening right now. And it's the only motivation you will ever truly need. We've reached the final law, and it is the most insane of them all. Modern society loves to sell you the concept of balance. They tell you to be a well-rounded individual, to balance your work, your hobbies, your social life, and your rest. It sounds healthy. It sounds reasonable. But reasonable is just another word for average. Your biology loves balance, because balance means you aren't exerting too much energy in any one direction. It's a survival mechanism to keep you from burning out in the wild. But we aren't trying to survive anymore. We are trying to conquer. You cannot build an empire on a 40-hour work week and a balanced lifestyle. To get to the top, you must betray the very idea of a stable life. You must become lopsided. You must become obsessed. I had to realize that greatness is a form of madness. If you look at the greatest hunters in nature, they aren't well-rounded. A cheetah is a biological machine designed for one thing: speed. It has sacrificed everything else for that single edge. To betray your nature is to stop trying to be everything to everyone. It means choosing one front and committing a total, scorched earth war on it. Most of you are failing because you are spreading your fire too thin. You are trying to light 100 candles when you should be using a blowtorch on a single steel door. Excellence requires a level of focus that looks like a mental illness to the people standing on the sidelines. They will call you a workaholic. They will say you've lost your way. What they don't understand is that you finally found a path that is too narrow for their balance to fit. Turning your life around requires you to kill the person who wants to have it all right now. You must be willing to let other areas of your life wither so that one thing can truly bloom. This isn't a permanent state. It's a season of extreme violence against your own limitations. The crowd will stay balanced, stay comfortable, and stay invisible. But you?
You must be the one who is willing to be too much, too intense, too focused, too obsessed. Stop trying to find the middle ground. There is nothing there but the tracks of people who never made it. Pick your target. Burn the bridges. Murder the illusion of balance. This is the only way to become unstoppable.
We are at the end. By now, you should feel a profound sense of loss. That is because the person you were, the safe, average version of you, is dying. Reconstruction is a violent act. It is the moment you begin to treat your old self as a stranger. You aren't just changing. You are evolving into a predator of excellence in a world of prey. The pain you feel is the sound of your potential finally breaking through the shell of your biology. To betray your nature is not to destroy your instincts, but to subjugate them. You will still feel fear. You will still feel the urge to hide. The difference is that you no longer take orders from your flesh. You have become the rider, and your biology is now the horse. The 1% aren't talented, they are simply more disciplined in their betrayal. They have made a habit of doing exactly what their bodies hate, until their bodies learn to crave the fire. They didn't find themselves, they created themselves. The map is in your hands. The 6 laws are etched into your mind. From this second forward, you no longer have the luxury of ignorance. Every time you choose the easy path, you are choosing a slow-motion suicide. The crowd will stay at the bottom of the mountain, whispering about how lucky you are. Let them. Your eyes are on the summit. I told you at the beginning that I've stood at the grave of my potential. I'm not standing there anymore. I'm at the feast. There is a seat waiting for you, but it's not free. It's paid for with the comfort you are willing to sacrifice today. Step out of the cave, betray your nature, become who you were meant to be. I am Conrad. The work begins now.